There is this haunting idea that one day you will cease to be, that there will come a final moment when the light goes out. Have you ever tried to imagine your own absence? Not just being elsewhere, but not being at all. Try it for a moment. Try to picture what it would be like to not exist. You can't, can you? Because every attempt to imagine your absence still requires you to be present as the one imagining it. The mind performs a strange dance when it tries to grasp its own disappearance. It is like trying to bite your own teeth, like trying to look into your own eyes without a mirror. I'll let you on a secret. You will never, in your own experience, encounter your death. This is not a promise of immortality or some spiritual comfort. It is simply a logical truth about the nature of awareness itself. Because how could you possibly experience the absence of experience? It is impossible. You only ever know life through the presence of consciousness. And when consciousness is gone, there is no you left to know its absence. People say they are afraid of being dead. But what does that really mean? They imagine themselves in darkness, lying still, aware of their own nothingness. But that is not death. That is a living mind imagining death. You are still there, observing the darkness. Death, if we take it literally, is the end of experience. And if experience ends, who is left to know it has ended? You see the paradox. It is like a child afraid of the dark. What is in there? The child asks. Nothing, says the parent. And the child whispers, that's what I'm afraid of. But nothing is not something to fear. It is not a monster hiding in the dark. It is simply nothing at all. Every time you try to think about death, you secretly smuggle yourself in as the observer. You picture yourself seeing the coffin, feeling the silence, witnessing the void. But the very act of picturing that already means you are alive. This is the great joke consciousness plays on itself. The mind cannot imagine its own non-existence. It cannot look beyond the lens through which it sees. And so, the state of being dead will never be part of your experience. Not now, not ever. You will never be there to see it happen. Isn't that extraordinary? The one thing human beings fear most is something they will never actually encounter. From the standpoint of your own consciousness, you are in a sense perpetually alive. Not because your body is eternal, but because the moment of your absence never arrives in your experience. Think of a mirror. When you look into it, you see an image that represents you, but it is not you. It only shows what is reflected. Death works in a similar way. It reflects everything except itself. We project onto death our fears, our beliefs, our hopes. We imagine heavens, hells, voids, or nothingness. But death itself remains untouched by all of it. It is the one event you can be absolutely sure will happen. And yet the one thing you can never directly know. That is what makes it so mysterious. The ancient philosophers understood this. They said death is not an event in life. You do not live to experience death. When death arrives, you are not there. And when you are here, death is not. So what exactly are we afraid of? Perhaps we fear not death, but the thought of death. We fear the imagination of nothingness, not nothingness itself, because the real nothing never appears. Notice this. The only time you have ever truly been alive is now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Your life always happens in this present moment. The past exists only as memory in the now. The future exists only as anticipation in the now. And the now itself has no duration. It is not a slice between past and future. It is not in time at all. It is the timeless ground upon which time appears. So when do you expect to die? In the future, of course. But the future is only ever a thought that appears now. It never arrives as the future. When it comes, it is still now. This means that what we call death always remains an idea, never a direct experience. The end of consciousness is forever postponed to a future that never truly arrives. And here lies a quiet miracle hidden in plain sight. Whenever you sit alone and picture your own ending, You are really picturing a continuation of yourself. You imagine awareness watching its own disappearance, yet that very awareness is still fully present. This reveals something subtle and profound. The fear is not in the ending, because consciousness cannot witness an ending. The fear exists only in the story you tell yourself about an ending. It is a narrative that loops back into the present moment. Every fear of the future is simply a ripple moving inside the ocean of now. From the view of awareness itself, there is only the eternal present. Forms change, bodies age, thoughts rise and fall. But the space in which all this happens never leaves. It is like the ocean watching its waves. Each wave rises, moves, dissolves. But the ocean remains. Your experiences are waves. Your awareness is the ocean. The ancient texts said it beautifully. That which is the finest essence, that is reality, that is the self. You are that. They meant that beneath all the changing forms, beneath the coming and going of sensations and identities, there is something unchanging, silent, still. That stillness is not born. It does not die. It simply is. You can test this for yourself. Try to imagine the total absence of consciousness. Not sleep, not fainting, not darkness, but the complete absence of any experience whatsoever. You cannot, because even to imagine it, you must be aware. It is like using light to look for darkness. The very act cancels itself. This reveals something profound. Consciousness cannot conceive its own end. It cannot be turned into an object because it is the subject of everything. It is the light by which all things are known. So what does that tell us about death? If consciousness cannot imagine its own absence, then death is forever unknowable to the one who lives. Think of deep, dreamless sleep. When you say, "I slept deeply," there was no I there during the sleep to witness it. The I appears upon waking and claims the experience after the fact. Death may be similar, except there is no waking afterward to claim it. So from the view of awareness itself, death never happens. There is no final moment where the lights go out. There is only a transition from one appearance to another, from one wave dissolving back into the sea. The fear of death, then, is not the fear of an event. It is the fear of an idea, and ideas can be released. The ancient teachers called death the great mirror, a mirror that shows you everything except itself. It strips away illusion, yet never reveals what lies beyond. In trying to describe it, we always end up describing ourselves. The believer imagines heaven. The skeptic imagines nothingness. The mystic imagines union. But each of these is a reflection of the mind imagining it. Death itself remains untouched, silent, unknowable. And maybe there is freedom in that. If death cannot be known, it cannot truly be feared. Because the thing we fear will never appear in our own experience. You can only ever experience being. And being happens now. Always now. Every moment of your life has unfolded here. Every memory, every dream, every fear, every love, all of it has happened within this one unbroken presence. So perhaps what we call death is not an ending at all. Perhaps it is just another change in the shapes appearing in the vastness of awareness. A shift in the dance of the eternal now. Just as a wave returns to the ocean without ever leaving it, you return to what you always were. The water was never separate from the sea. You were never separate from existence. You were never just a person lost in time. You were the universe looking back at itself. And when this particular form fades, the awareness that witnessed it does not vanish, because it was never born. It never began. And what never began can never end. So maybe the secret is this. You will never watch yourself die. You will only ever wake up from another dream.